Hey, Missouri. I'm Melissa Ross. I teach high school government at Savannah High School, and it's time to vote. On November 5th, 2024, everyone in the state of Missouri will have an opportunity to vote on 5 constitutional amendments and 1 proposition. There's so much in these amendments and this proposition that this is going to take me 2 videos. So bear with me and let's get started. Now, a constitutional amendment will actually change the wording of the Constitution, where the proposition is kind of like a law. It won't change the wording of the Constitution, and the proposition could be ruled unconstitutional by the Missouri Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court. If you change the wording of the Constitution, then the Missouri Supreme Court can't find it unconstitutional because, well, it's in the Constitution, so it's constitutional. The only body that can change a Missouri Constitution line item is the U.S. Supreme Court. Remember, all states have their own constitutions, and their constitutions are changed, well, I don't know, because I don't teach their state. I just teach this state. Our Constitution can only be changed by the vote of the people. Now, the first 3 amendments and the proposition were introduced through initiative petition. That's how they got on this ballot. And because it was an initiative petition, that's going to be this first video. An initiative petition is when a group of Missourians write an amendment or a law proposition and get enough signatures on petitions to get it onto the ballot. And once it's on the ballot, then the people of Missouri can vote whether they want it or they want to reject it. And that's what you're doing November 5th. Now, remember, it's not easy to get an initiative petition on the ballot. The reason initiative petitions are so cool is because it goes through no elected body at all. The people write it, the people approve it, and it becomes a constitutional amendment or a law. Whether it's a constitutional amendment or a proposition, there's a multi-step process just to get the wording approved. Then, the signatures have to be collected from each congressional district in Missouri. Then these names have to be verified by the Secretary of State. Then it goes to the ballot for the people to vote. If you think about it, initiative petitions, when they pass, it's the purest form of democracy. And democracy rocks. Ballot measures 2, 3, 5, and Proposition A all came from initiative petitions. Pure democracy. Let's go get them. Amendment 2 will ask, do you want to amend the Missouri Constitution to allow the Missouri Gaming Commission to regulate licensed sports wagering, including online sports betting, gambling boats, professional sports betting districts, and mobile licenses to sports betting operators? Restrict sports betting to individuals physically located in the state and over the age of 21. Allow license fees prescribed by the Commission and 10% wagering tax on revenues received to be appropriated for education after expenses incurred by the Commission and required funding of the Compulsive Gambling Prevention Fund, and allow for the General Assembly to enact laws consistent with this amendment. State governmental entities estimate one-time cost of $660,000, ongoing annual costs of at least $5.2 million, and initial license fee revenue $11.75 million. Because the proposal allows for deductions against sports gaming revenues, they estimate unknown tax revenue ranging from $0 to $28.9 million annually. Local governments estimate unknown revenue. Breaking it down. If the majority of people in the state of Missouri vote yes on Amendment 2, then sports gambling would be legal in the state of Missouri. Special licenses would be given to sports betting operators, and those sports betting operators would be restricted to only people physically located in the state of Missouri. The Gaming Commission would get to decide what the fees are, and all the gambling facilities would be charged a 10% wagering tax on the profits. All taxes and fees would go to reimburse the costs accrued by the Gaming Commission and fund the Compulsive Gambling Prevention Fund. Everything after that would go to education. It would be up to the General Assembly to control all the laws that deal with gambling. Of course, none of this is going to get started for free. There'll be a $660,000 one-time cost, and it'll be an annual cost to continue of $5.2 million. However, we're looking at an income of $11.75 million in initial licensing fees, and who knows how much the state will bring in taxes. They estimated anything from $0 to $28.9 million. There may be costs to local governments, but there'll be no tax increase for the everyday average Missourian. What you'll see on the ballot is a yes vote will amend the Missouri Constitution to permit licensed sports wagering regulated by the Missouri Gaming Commission and restrict sports betting to individuals physically located in the state and over the age of 21. The amendment includes a 10% wagering tax on revenues received to be appropriated for educational institutions in Missouri. A no vote will not amend the Missouri Constitution regarding licensed regulated sports wagering. If passed, this measure will have no impact on taxes. Amendment 3 will read, do you want to amend the Missouri Constitution to establish a right to make decisions about reproductive health care, including abortion and contraceptives, with any governmental interference of that right presumed invalid? Remove Missouri's ban on abortion, allow regulation of reproductive health care to improve or maintain the health of the patient, require the government not to discriminate in government programs, funding, and other activities against persons providing or obtaining reproductive health care, and allow abortion to be restricted or banned after fetal viability except to protect the life or health of the woman. State governmental entities estimate no costs or savings, but unknown impact. Local governmental entities estimate cost of at least $51,000 annually in reduced tax revenues. Opponents estimate a potentially significant loss to state revenue. So, if the majority of Missourians vote yes on this amendment, laws cannot ban any kind of birth control or abortion before viability. However, they can regulate abortion and birth control if it improves the health of the patient, which means laws can be passed to manage reproductive health in the state of Missouri. Viability means a child can exist outside of the womb, which is usually around 7 months. So this amendment will allow abortion up to 7 months. Right now in the state of Missouri, abortions are permitted only to save the life of the mother or prevent risk to the woman. She must wait 72 hours and go through counseling. Minors must have parental consent. So this is a huge change in Missouri. The choices you'll see on the ballot are: a yes vote establishes a constitutional right to make decisions about reproductive health care, including abortion and contraceptives, with any governmental interference of that right presumed invalid. Removes Missouri's ban on abortion, allows regulation of reproductive health care to improve or maintain the health of the patient, requires the government not to discriminate in government programs, funding, and other activities against persons providing or obtaining reproductive health care, and allows abortion to be restricted or banned after fetal viability except to protect the life or health of the woman. A no vote will continue the statutory prohibition of abortion in Missouri. If passed, this measure may reduce local taxes while the impact to state taxes is unknown. Amendment 5 is the last constitutional amendment that will be on the ballot that got there through an initiative petition. And it reads, do you want to amend the Missouri Constitution to allow the Missouri Gaming Commission to issue one additional gambling boat licensed to operate on the portion of the Osage River from the Missouri River to the Bagnell Dam? Require the prescribed location shall include artificial spaces that contain water and are within 500 feet of the 100-year base flood elevation as established by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and require all state revenues derived from the issuance of the gambling boat license shall be appropriated to early childhood literacy programs in public institutions of elementary education. State governmental entities estimate a one-time cost of $763,000, ongoing costs of $2.2 million annually, initial fee revenue of $271,000, ongoing admission and other fee revenue of $2.1 million annually, and annual gaming tax revenue of $14.3 million. Local governments estimate unknown revenue. I think it seems pretty silly to put something so specific in the Constitution, but Missouri is very picky about their gambling boats. Gambling started in Missouri on rivers because it was illegal in Missouri, so they did it on the rivers. Because technically, boats aren't in Missouri. I don't know. It was the big loophole. At any rate, when gambling boats on rivers started making big money, the people approved a constitutional amendment to keep the boats that were already existing and allow no more. Now, they want one more, but in order to get that one more, they have to change the entire Missouri Constitution. This one more will be on the Osage River down by Bagnell Dam, which is the dam that created the Lake of the Ozarks. Money the state gets from that boat must be spent on early childhood literacy in public schools. Your choices on the ballot will read, a yes vote will amend the Missouri Constitution to allow the Missouri Gaming Commission to issue an additional gaming boat license to operate an excursion gambling boat on the Osage River between the Missouri River and the Bagnell Dam. All state revenue derived from issuance of the gambling boat license shall be appropriated to early childhood literacy programs in public institutions of elementary education. A no vote will not amend the Missouri Constitution regarding gambling boat licensures. If passed, this measure will have no impact on taxes. Proposition A is not a constitutional amendment. It's like a law that was written by an unelected group of people through the initiative process. It reads, do you want to amend Missouri law to increase minimum wage January 1st, 2025 to $13.75 per hour, increasing $1.25 per hour each year until 2026, when the minimum wage would be $15 per hour. Adjust minimum wage based on changes in the Consumer Price Index each January, beginning in 2027. Require all employers to provide 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. Allow the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations to provide oversight and enforcement, and exempt governmental entities, political subdivisions, school districts, and educational institutions. State government entities estimate one-time cost ranging from $0 to $53,000 and ongoing costs ranging from $0 to at least $256,000 per year by 2027. State and local government tax revenue could change by an unknown annual amount depending on business decisions. So, if Missourians approve this proposition, the minimum wage will go from $12.30 to $13.75 immediately. Then every year it'll go up $1 a quarter until 2026 when it reaches $15 an hour. Also, It'll require 1 hour paid sick leave for every 30 hours an employee works. Businesses with 15 or less employees have to give their employees 5 paid sick days a year. Businesses with more than 15 employees must give 7 sick days per year. Now, tipped employees are a little different. They only get 50% of the minimum wage unless they make less than the minimum wage in tips. If that happens, the employer has to compensate them to cover any tips lost to make sure they're getting paid at least minimum wage. In other words, they can make more than minimum wage in tips, but they can't make less. Of course, governmental employees and educational institutions aren't included in this. The fair ballot language will read, a yes vote will amend the Missouri statutes to increase the state minimum wage beginning January 1st, 2025 to $13.75 per hour and increase the hourly rate $1.25 to $15 per hour beginning January 2026. Annually, the minimum wage will be adjusted based on the Consumer Price Index. The law will require employers with 15 or more employees to provide 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. The amendment will exempt governmental entities, political subdivisions, school districts, and education institutions from the minimum wage increase. A no vote will not amend Missouri law to make changes to the state minimum wage law. If passed, this measure will have no impact on taxes. Missourians have a bunch of important decisions to make November 5th, 2024. Hopefully, it's obvious that this is a pivotal election in the state of Missouri. Be informed voters. Know what you're voting for before you get to the polls. And wait for my next video with the amendments that are on the ballot this November 5th that came out of the General Assembly.